girlfriend on the other end. And it just seemed strange. And while I'm reading this story, I literally got chills, and I felt so sad for Reva. I felt like it was breaking my heart reading what this girl went through. She was 29 years old at the time of this tragedy, when this tragedy happened. And wow, let me just tell you. So let's just give a bit of background on Oscar and Reva. So I'll start with Oscar first. So Oscar is, a South African athlete, a runner, and or a sprinter, and now known as a convicted murderer. So both of his feet were amputated when he was a baby. He was 11 months old when he had this operation. It was due to a congenital defect, and he was born missing the outside of both of his feet. Grew up in a Christian home, 2 parents. He had 2 siblings, an older brother and a younger sister, and he credits his mother, who died at the age of 43. She was pretty young. She died at the age of 43, and he was only 15 or 16 years old at the time of her death. He credits her for, his success, or just as a major influence in his life. He was into many different sports. He played water polo, rugby, and it's actually because of an injury that he sustained while he was playing rugby that he went to a rehabilitation center. And at this rehabilitation center, he was introduced to running and sprints, and he fell in love with it, became really great at it, and was able to go on to the saying that he is certainly not what people think he is, and this is very important because indeed he was not what people thought that he was. Something much darker was going on actually. The only thing was that Reva did actually seem different than the girls that he would normally date. He would always go for younger women. Like I said, his ex was 18 years old. He was well into his 20s. Actually, he was 10 years older than her. He was 28 years old. Reva was 1 year older than Oscar. She was 29. And Reva was someone who could stand up for herself, who had a strong head on her shoulders. She knew her feelings and she wasn't afraid to express them. And she wasn't afraid to call Oscar out when he would act very strange. In fact, what she called, what she knew as unacceptable, inappropriate behavior. So Reva had an older sister, 18 years older than her, whose name is Simone, and Simone said that she only had a few boyfriends. She was very selective, with who she dated, and she had good relationships, but they came to an end, no big deal. And she was actually still very close and very much friends with her exes, so she really didn't know how to deal with a toxic person in a relationship. During the court case, when the trial was going on, there were certain text messages that were revealed between Reva and Oscar, where Reva wrote in one message, "I was scared of you sometimes, and now you snap at me and now you will react towards me." In another one, she mentioned being attacked by Oscar. And in another message, she wrote, after an argument at an awards event, that I cannot be attacked by outsiders for dating you and be attacked by you, the one person I actually deserve protection from. She said, "You have picked on me excessively and I do everything to make you happy, and all you do is throw tantrums." In another exchange, Reva wrote, "We are living in a double standard relationship. Every time I hear about, how you dated another woman, another chick, you really have dated a lot of people, yet you get so upset if I mention one funny story with a long-term boyfriend." In one particular message, Reva expressed how she was upset about being forced to leave a friend's engagement party prematurely. And she said, "I wasn't flirting with anyone today. I feel so sick that you suggested that I flirted with someone. I am terribly disappointed at how the day ended." And Oscar responded saying, "I was upset that you just left me after we got food to go talk to a guy, and I was standing right behind you, watching you touch his arm and ignore me." So that right there tells you that this guy is very, very deeply insecure, and also sounds like gaslighting when she was clearly Reva called her mom, June, one day, scared, saying, "Mommy, Oscar's driving like a lunatic." And June, her mom, replied, "Well, put him on the phone." And she told Oscar, "If you hurt my baby, I will have you wiped out." And she was really just trying to scare him, and apparently he slowed down immediately. So Reva's mom, June, has claimed that her daughter was literally on the verge of ending things with Oscar, and that the two had not yet been physically intimate. She confided that she hadn't yet slept with him even though they were together for 3 months or spent nights at each other's houses, because she didn't want to take that next step in the relationship if she wasn't sure that this was going to work. What's the point, right? Reva believed in her heart that the relationship wasn't making her happy and it wasn't making Oscar happy, so why stay together? Why continue to try? And Reva was actually planning on leaving Oscar the night of her death. Her clothes were already packed and she had already made up her mind that she was done. And Oscar shot through the door 4 times with 3 bullets striking her, saying that, "I thought it was an intruder. I just shot to protect myself without thinking about it." Her parents did not believe this at all and said that something else must have happened that night to trigger this horrible incident, and that there's no doubt in their minds that something happened that upset her so terribly that she actually hid behind a locked door with 2 mobile phones in her hands. So she was hiding from him with 2 phones in her hand, terrified. I can seem to understand this for somebody who never experienced toxicity to that level. You don't even know what you're dealing with. In fact, she had no idea why they were even fighting so early on in their relationship. And I think the thing with Oscar is that he met someone that wasn't going to just sit down and take it, just sit down and continuously take it for however long until he got tired. Whereas it seemed that it was her that was ready to go first, and he didn't want someone to leave him. So I'm just putting 2 and 2 together. It seems like he just wanted to unalive her so she couldn't leave him or something. Oscar, he actually got out of prison. So Oscar went to prison for 11 years and was released January this year, which I don't think he should have been released. This guy is a literal psychopath, and he's the kind of person where therapy would not help him. He's the kind of person where I could see him literally using what he uses in therapy against other women, and it scares me that he's actually out, because who's to say that he won't keep abusing people? He is a danger, but at least everybody knows the story now. Everybody knows everything is out, so there's nothing that he can necessarily hide from someone, I merged with a person who would actually consider to date this guy. My heart broke for Reva because she seemed like such a genuine girl who didn't know what the heck she got herself into. People like Oscar, they are incredibly dangerous, not only because they can harm you physically, but the way that Samantha mentioned that he would sit her on the naughty step and yell at her, this is mental abuse and this stuff. Even if you're a confident person, it can get to you at some point, and you're looking at yourself like, who am I? Maybe I'm not worthy of love, maybe I'm not worthy, maybe I deserve this, And so you kind of stay in a situation like that. It's so dangerous, and Oscar, he would never be the one to take responsibility for anything. And it makes you think, what the heck happened to him? What the heck happened to him in his life to make him so emotionally volatile? And not just to her, but to every woman that he's dated, every woman. It seems like he hates women or something. And the mom even said he was going to kill someone eventually. It just happened to be her daughter. went from hospital to hospital, ruining people. We're gonna get into it. I'll see you in my